We feel like all of these things are something wrong with us that we have to get rid of or we have to work through. My number one shadow that shows up in my conscious sun is inadequacy. So inadequacy is always going to be there for me. It's not anything that's wrong with me or something I have to fulfill or fix. What it means is when inadequacy shows up, it's an opportunity for me to ask myself, where am I not being authentic?
This is Unconditioning, Discovering the Voice Within, with Whitney Ann Jenkins. Hello and welcome to the 117th episode of Unconditioning, Discovering the Voice Within, where I bring on guests and we talk about the inner authentic voice and the challenges and the rewards that come from following it. This episode, I have with me Miranda Mitchell. Miranda is a beacon of wisdom, insight, and deep connection. She is a true light warrior who fearlessly explores her shadows to illuminate the path to embodied leadership and energetic alignment for herself and others. In 2012, Miranda's journey commenced with a sacred practice of Ashtanga yoga, and here she dove deep within herself, moving beyond the need for external validation to embrace her inner truth. Through this inward exploration, she freed herself from the constraints of past experiences and beliefs, and she uncovered the essence of her being residing within the core of her physical form. This crucial moment signaled the beginning of Miranda's exploration into the realms of human design and the gene keys. She saw them as embodiments of both masculine and feminine energies in the cosmic dance of existence. Immersed in this wisdom, Miranda peeled away layers of conditioning and bravely embarked on a journey to release all that she once believed defined her. With each revelation, she drew nearer to her authentic self, revealing the magic nestled within the depths of true understanding. Today, Miranda stands as a masterful guide, extending her hand to others embarking on their own transformative journey. As an embodied leadership guide, she shares her boundless wisdom with compassion and authenticity, encouraging authentic self-expression and the discovery of one's true voice. Through personalized sessions and transformative group offerings like the Embodied Voice and Dancing With Shadows Stillness, Miranda empowers individuals to embrace their innate potential, creating a sacred space of acceptance for all aspects of their being. So, from what I just shared, you can see how Miranda's story and her message is extremely aligned with unconditioning. And so, I am really excited to share this conversation with Miranda. It flowed very easily, and there's a lot of depth and wisdom within this one. So, enjoy.
I just like to show up and respond.
Okay.
So
All right.
I trust in whatever shows up in that moment. And half of the time, I don't even know what I'm going to say. And then I even forget what I said right after. But I feel like that's like the download.
So, Miranda, my podcast is about following the inner voice or authentic voice or that thing that drives you that you can't ignore. If you do, sometimes it will derail you and wreak havoc on your life. And if you follow it, it can bring you great rewards. And the nature of what you do by helping people understand themselves better through human design and coaching and all of the things that you do to help people find this voice within themselves. There had to be a lot of things along the way that you probably had to experience in order to be able to be a guide for other people in this way. And so, one of the first things that I like to ask is, when is the first time that you realized that you had this inner guidance system of your own that you were able to follow?
Hmm. I think the first time that I connected, like, now that I reflect, I know that there was times when I was younger that I did hear it and I did make choices based on that, but I was unaware. It wasn't until I started practicing yoga in 2012 that I found the space to be able to listen because I was too busy in the external world and whatever we're trying to build and be successful and build a family, all the things that we think we should have. I was too busy in that. So I didn't have the time and the space to hear what my inner guidance was telling me until I found yoga. And when I found yoga in Shavasana, at points in time, I would hear and I felt amazing. And because of that, that was the first step in recognizing that I was too busy in the external world and I wasn't listening to my internal guidance. So, because of that, I started really diving into the yoga practice more so that I had times and space. And from that, I would say 2012 is when I started tuning in and listening. And since then, have made drastic changes in awareness of who I am, what I was doing based on external validation or shoulds, and truly what I want. I would say that was the first time.
Okay, cool. So, leading up to your discovery of yoga, what was your connection to your inner voice or a contemplative practice or spirituality? Did you have an upbringing that encouraged exploration of these things, or was it very rigid for you?
Oh, my upbringing was chaotic. I had somewhat of an upbringing. My mother wanted, it was a Jehovah's Witness. She wanted me to be a part of that. I did not feel drawn to that and was exiled at that point in time because of some of the things that I was doing. I then moved out at 14. So I honestly have been kind of on my own since 14. I lived with friends. I ended up moving with a boyfriend at 16. Like my life was very chaotic. I was running away from my family and trying to, I honestly think that's a gift. I feel like because I left so early, that a lot of my conditioning when I was older, it was not there. It was all based on myself. It wasn't based on what my parents want or anything like that. So my earlier life had no grounding
Yeah,
whatsoever.
that's intense. It sounds like, and we don't have to talk about this part if you don't feel comfortable, just let me know.
Mhm,
Do you remember what it was that made you not want to be a part of what your family was a part of?
mhm. Yeah, and I talk about this. I've talked about my mother. Um, I didn't feel supported by my family. I was told that I was too much, wanted too much, was never satisfied. And my mother did not support me when my step uncle was, it wasn't physical, but he was grooming me and he lived in our house. So, and my mother blamed me. At age 12, she told me that I was the one that was bringing it on. I was flirtatious and all these things at age 12. So that was the point that I was like, they don't support me, they don't hear me. I'm getting out of here.
Yeah, that's very courageous for that age to be able
Yeah,
to.
I didn't know it at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so you at that time were following some kind of inner guidance system to get you out of that situation.
Mhm.
So that's been within you for a long time that I feel like you've been following that.
Yeah, I always knew there was something more for me, and I always knew that I was here to make some type of impact. I didn't realize until later on through my yoga and like going into human design and the gene keys that like the amount of different experiences that I experienced when I was younger, it seemed like there was one traumatic experience after another. And I feel like it was so that I have empathy towards a lot of people so that I can then support them in all aspects. So I would not change a bit about what happened when I was younger because I would not be who I am today and I wouldn't be doing what I was doing. And I was never a victim. I never saw myself as like even in I had domestic violence relationships, like it was one thing after another. I never saw myself as a victim. So um I guess I'm very lucky in that way because when I reflect, I could, but I feel like each experience was given to me so that I could step into something else and help others really truly love themselves because that's where my lack was. My lack was I didn't love myself. I didn't value myself. I kind of kept proving to myself that I wasn't good, that I didn't deserve love, that I didn't deserve to be supported. So all of those times I was making those decisions based on that until I started learning, until I found the space of silence and then I started integrating like modalities like astrology and human design and understanding these activations of what I'm here to do and how I'm here to be and what my shadows are and embracing my shadows and loving my shadows rather than thinking there's something wrong with them. So I forgot what the question was because I went on a rampage, but I hope I answered it.
You're doing great. So, when you found yoga, what was going on in your life? Were you actually seeking something to get you to that place of silence and contemplation, or was it just a happenstance situation that you stumbled upon?
I feel like I've been truly guided for sure. I wasn't looking. I was pregnant at the time with my daughter. I feel this in my daughter's due date was my birthday. She came 4 days later. I feel like my daughter is the reason I found yoga when she was in me. I feel like she was guiding me to that place of like learning to love myself because she is a mirror reflection of me. And I feel like it was like, okay, this is the real work. This is where you're going to be able to switch your karmic pattern of the women in your life is with this daughter. So I feel like she honestly guided me towards yoga. And from there has guided me towards all of these other modalities so that I can help her and support her. So she's authentic. She values herself. She's not afraid to speak up. I'm there to support her in the things. So I honestly feel like it was her. She was there to guide me.
It's beautiful. Yeah. So, what did yoga bring for you? What did it teach you?
Um, it taught me to slow down for sure. It taught me that silence and taking space for yourself is very important, especially in this busy world. A lot of us, um, I feel like society has this searching all the time when really all we need to do is slow down. So that's what it gave me. And then from there, it guided me towards these other areas because I always questioned, like in yoga, these realizations would come up, and I'd be like, but is that really true, or is that me, or am I making this up in my head? I'd always, because I have a lot of that logic. And then maybe that's why it then guided me to like human design because human design gives me that tangible evidence of seeing the chart of where I have unconscious and conscious and variable energy and consistent energy. So then it was like, okay, well, you need proof. So here you go. And then from there, it brought me to the gene keys, which is more of the subtle cellular DNA. So it brought me back to the stillness and contemplation that I felt like yoga was. So I feel like it gave me the direction. That's why I say I feel like I'm guided.
Hmm.
Because it's like when I find that space of stillness and silence, I know what to do and it comes and I take the action without thinking. And then from there, this beautiful thing unfolds.
Absolutely. How did you discover human design?
Well, I had gone to a coaching school, so I was learning NLP and how to coach because, so I did yoga, and then I got certified in yoga because it's like, okay, this helped me so much. How can I need to bring this out into the world for others. So I got certified in yoga. I started teaching yoga, and then from that point, it was like, okay, so now I help them find stillness, but I'm not sure what type of questions to ask them to get deeper. So then I went into training for coaching for NLP. And then from there, after graduation, I connected with someone and they told me about human design. And I looked into it and I was like, this doesn't feel right. And then a year later, I was like, okay, now it's right timing. So then I dove into all the studying of human design. I got certified and like all of that. And then from there, I found the gene keys. Um, and there I found equine gestalt. So like it's like I'm ever evolving and growing.
building upon each other. Absolutely.
Mhm.
For the listeners, would you mind maybe describing what human design is for those who might not be aware?
Yeah. So, during a supernova, which is a supernova is when a star basically bursts, right? Um, Ra Uruhu, he changed his name. I think his name was Andrew. I can't remember his last name right now, but he changed his name to Ra Uruhu after he received this download in 1987 when this star burst. So you may or may not know, or you may or may not believe that we're all part of stars, right? So stardust. So during this time, he received all of this information about how we're living out of alignment and to heal humanity and to heal our children, to start learning about how we're making decisions out of alignment, out of force, rather than our personal energy blueprint. So human design gives you kind of like a blueprint based on your birth date, your birth time, and your birthplace. There's a little chart that comes out, and it shows like where you have consistent energy. So in the air, if you look at your chart, anywhere that there's color, it means that you have this energy consistently and you put it out into the world. So people that are around you receive this energy as part of your superpower, your gifts, what you give others. And then anywhere in the chart that is white is where you receive energy. So we're always constantly giving and receiving. And the receiving in the white areas are usually where we have the most trauma or conditioning, because usually where that is we receive other people's energy, and depending on who we're around, we're taking in their energy, amplifying it, think it's us, but it's truly not. So by understanding this, by looking at your chart, you can first see, okay, I have consistent energy here, I have variable energy here. So let's look at the variable energy and see what beliefs I've created about myself because of inconsistencies in this energy. So what that means, I can give an example. So I have an undefined G center. Undefined means that white. G center is love, direction, and identity. So every part of the activation in that center is all about those aspects. So since mine is undefined, what that means is whoever I'm around, I'm taking in their identity, their direction, and how they experience love. So for me, when I was younger, I would be a chameleon depending on who I was around. My identity would change. I would morph myself into different people with partners or whoever I was around. And then I would ask myself, like, and I remember this, I would say, well, why do I even matter? I don't even know who I am. I keep changing and shifting depending on whom I'm around. So then I felt like I had a lack of identity and I lost my identity anytime I was around people. So understanding this and learning about this in my chart gave me the awareness that it wasn't that I didn't have an identity, I morphed myself. It was the unawareness of being able to use that as a superpower, actually understanding deep, like at a deep level, the identity of other people. Like as a coach or a guide, that is so important to be able to do that, to be able to guide people. So then you go into like, okay, so what I thought was wrong with me is actually a superpower. So now that with this awareness, how can I love myself more in this aspect rather than there's something that needs to be fixed?
Hmm. Yeah. So what I'm hearing is learning how to use something that you perceive as perhaps a weakness as a strength.
Yeah, and I feel like we all have the things with human design, it's like the shadow frequencies. We feel like all of these things are something wrong with us that we have to get rid of or we have to work through. My number one shadow that shows up in my conscious sun is inadequacy. So inadequacy is always going to be there for me. It's not anything that's wrong with me or something I have to fulfill or fix. What it means is when inadequacy shows up, it's an opportunity for me to ask myself, where am I not being authentic? Where am I using judgment on myself? Where am I not being in alignment? So then, as soon as you're aware of the shadow showing up as a gift to adjust your frequency, you can then use that shadow and lift yourself back into that gift frequency. And always know as you grow and evolve, as you make changes or take risks, your inadequacy is always going to show up. It's not anything you get rid of, it's something to use as an opportunity for growth. So that's the gene key aspect going into the shadows and the gift and the cities. So understanding each one of your shadows and like, oh yeah, inadequacy is like, now it's like, oh, inadequacy. I see you, my old friend. What are you trying to show me? It's not like, oh, I'm feeling inadequate again. What is wrong with me?
Yeah, absolutely. In human design, is there a place in which people are trying to get to, such as in astrology, like the North Node or the Midheaven? Is there like an end goal that we're trying to achieve?
I think the end goal, first of all, I don't feel like there is an end goal. Um, I feel like our growth and evolution is going to be a forever journey. And as soon as you can know that, it becomes more fun rather than trying to race to get to something, you know? I know it's hard when you think you worked on a shadow and then you're doing great and all of a sudden it shows up again. And it's like, oh, I thought I already worked on this. But again, like I said, that's an opportunity. Usually what that means is like you're going to up level. So I don't feel like there's an end goal. I feel like it's continuing to learn to love yourself for all parts of yourself, not loving yourself conditionally. I feel like we do. We love ourselves conditionally. We love others a lot of the time conditionally. That was an experience I learned with my grandmother passing. She like loved conditionally. Like people had to be a certain thing for her to love you. And we do that ourselves. Like when we're feeling sick or we're feeling tired, we're like, what's wrong with me? I'm a piece of crap. You know, it's like we get down on ourselves instead of loving ourselves for where we're at. So I think maybe the end goal would be to consciously and intentionally love every aspect of who you are being in every moment.
Yeah, well, that's a great goal in my opinion.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
so in human design, there are different types. Is that
Mhm.
correct? And
Yes.
which type are you?
I'm a manifesting generator, profile 2-4.
Okay.
So what that means, I can tell you the 5 types. There's the manifesting generator and the generator. Those two combined make up 70% of society. So these types are the creators, the builders. When we love to, when we love what we're doing, we will have the energy to do it all the time and feel like we're not working. Like we'll have that energy when we're inspired, excited. Then there's the projector, which is 20%. The projector basically sees over, kind of like the managerial type. You know, they oversee other people's energies and they actually aren't here to build and create all the time. They're here to guide. So a lot of times with projectors, they get very bitter. Each one has a not self theme. So it's kind of nice because it's like, okay, for a manifesting generator, if you're frustrated or angry, it means you're out of alignment. If you're a generator, if you're frustrated, you're out of alignment. If you're a projector, if you're feeling bitter, you're out of alignment. If you're a manifester, if you're angry, you're out of alignment. And if you're a reflector and you're just like deep and disappointed, you're out of alignment. So the projectors are 20%. They're not here to work like generator types. They're here to work like 4 hours out of 24. They need a lot of self-care because they're taking in other people's energies all the time and they see other people's energies more than they see their own. The manifester is 9% of society. They actually are the initiators. They start things, they get those brilliant ideas and start things, but then need support from the projectors and the generators to like create it. And then there's the reflector, which is 1% of society, and they're basically the barometer or the mirror reflection of their environment. So if you have a reflector in your vicinity and they're not feeling great, it means what's around them is not feeling great. So we all play a role. And the thing that I love about human design is it helps us learn to support one another rather than compete. Like when I work with projectors, I definitely uplift them. Like see your power in guiding people. Don't feel like you have to work 24/7 to prove yourself. Like that's not what you're here to do. And you would not believe the amount of gratitude they feel for being seen for that, because they've been so long trying to like prove their value with all the generator success that the Western society says that we have to be. So honestly, I think that's another, like I said, one of my favorite things is being able to see the roles, being able to support each other in those roles, not competing, actually loving each other for the differences, not the similarities, and understanding that we're actually here to work together, not to be consciously like pushing against one another.
Yeah, it's beautiful. A nice symphony of sorts. Yeah, I'm a 5/1 manifesting generator, so I can relate to you in that way.
Yeah. So as a manifesting generator, it's interesting because when you go into the nuances in the charts, I've done some kind of like some experimenting with others. I know manifesting generators that are like they have these ideas, and their manifesting generators were designed to like kind of like skip steps and do a lot of things at the different times, and but there's also the nuances of what channels you have defined in that chart. So I'm gonna go into the 952. It's a channel from the root to the sacral, and a channel is when two gates come together and they create the channel from one center to another. So the energy actually moves from one center to the other. So the 952 is a format channel, which means that it kind of encompasses your whole chart. So if you have one of those channels, it kind of is like an overall bubble over your chart. So the 952 is it's called the Buddha channel, and it's the channel of stillness and mountain. So it's like this stillness, heaviness of focus. So for me, as a manifesting generator, I'm not one of those manifesting generators that can sprinkle myself in 5 or 6 different directions and not feel overwhelmed. I have to have that intense concentration and focus and fully go in deep. And that's how I create. So it's interesting when you go into those nuances, because it's like you have one manifesting generator that can create 5 or 6 different things within an hour, and then you have one manifesting generator that can create this in-depth thing in an hour, you know? So yeah, that's going deeper. But my 48 and my son is about depth, so of course that's another area. I like to go deep into things. I created so I just got finished creating my Oracle card deck.
Yeah,
It took me 2 years
congratulations.
because
Oh, that's
thank
amazing.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It took me 2 years because I went so deep into things. It had to have the human design aspects, the gene keys, the astrology, the facing of the face, the coloring, like all of it had to be so detailed. But that's because I'm the type that is not fast. I have to focus and go deep. And then that way I feel kind of grounded in what I brought to the world. So it's interesting when you go into those types of things. Do you happen to know? So a manifesting generator, you have activation to the throat. Do you know what center you have to the throat, or do you know about that?
Hmm, I'm not sure. What are the choices?
Well, you have, if you're a manifesting generator, what that means is you have at least one of the 4 motors connected to the throat, either through other centers or directly. So there's the sacral is a center. You definitely have the sacral, but I'm just wondering if it's how it's connected to the throat. The root, the emotional solar plexus, and the will center are the 4 uh,
I
motors.
I think it's emotional, if I'm remembering correctly.
So you have an emotional wave.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does that resonate?
It resonates very much in that I have to I have to like really enjoy what I'm doing at the moment. So I have to do what I enjoy first in order to be able to move around to the other things. So I do a lot of different things all at once, but I have to jump around to what feels good at that moment in order to be productive.
I admire that. I admire that about you because I can't do that.
Yeah. And so, okay, so I'm a 5-1. So what do those numbers mean?
The 5-1, they're called the profile.
Okay.
So there are 6 numbers within a profile, 1 through 6. Um, so as a 5-1, what that means is if you think of yourself as like 2 parts of personality, one how you put yourself out into the world, and one how you kind of like integrate and learn from yourself, like in your own space. That's how I kind of feel about those, because they have to balance,
Yeah.
right? So the 5 is a projection field. It means that people definitely project things onto you, and you're very practical. You see the practical side of things as far as how things can be done. However, what can happen is people may feel that you can just do it for them. And sometimes you may feel like it's easier to do it for them, so you just do it. But the truth is, you're really here to guide them to step into their own power and not let them project it onto you.
Okay. Yeah.
Does that resonate?
Everything. Yeah.
Think of it as like a mirror. Um, for the 5 line, another way I like to see it is when people see you or look at you, they see their own reflection of self and think it's you, but it's their own reflection. So they feel like you know them so deeply that you can fix them.
All right. Well, yeah, that just explains my whole last relationship. So,
Oh, that's great. So, I mean, I hope that helps you then
yeah, absolutely.
understand some of
And
that
I
relationship.
think he was a projector, so yep.
Yeah. And then the 1 line is like diving in, knowledge, learning all the things. Like that's what the 1 line is.
Yeah.
And then I can go into the other, like the 2, I'm a 2-4.
Okay.
So a 2 is called the hermit. So basically the 2 line likes to go and hide away and be by myself and read and study and integrate, and like that's the 2 line, like going to hide away and needing to be away from people to kind of digest what is true for them. And then the 4 line is an opportunity, like opportunities through networking and connections. So for me, like with friendships, with relationships, with business, I have to go and hide away and be by myself, but then also make sure I'm out in the world connecting with people, meeting people. So it's kind of like one or the other, hiding away and being out in the world.
Yeah, integrating what you receive from the world, perhaps.
Exactly. And then for those that are listening, the 3 line is about experimentation. So what that means, it's trial and error. So for you, it's like important to try things out, see if it works, see if it doesn't, and then not make a belief about yourself if it doesn't work. Like you didn't do something wrong. That's how you're designed to learn, is through experimenting, trying things out, and then what works, bring out to the world. But what doesn't, don't judge yourself and think something's wrong. It's just didn't work. And then we talked about the 5 line. And then the 6 line is like this role model type of face. So it has 3 aspects. The 6 line takes a little bit longer to kind of connect and understand themselves. The first part of it is from birth until the Saturn return. That's kind of like they're living in the 3 line. They're kind of like experimenting, living life. Then after the Saturn return to the Chiron return, it's about sitting back, reflecting on healing what they did previously in that 3 line. And then after the Chiron return, it is the role model phase where they kind of just, they've learned who they are, they've experimented, and people go to them for that role model or that wisdom that they carry.
Interesting. Okay, so this might be a really big question, but how does astrology like fit into human design?
I love to add astrology in, of course, because of the depth. So if you're looking at your chart, so let's say you're looking at your chart, you have all of the numbers with the decimal with the number after it. First of all of the numbers before the decimal are your archetypes of your energies in the activation of the astrology, and I'll get to that. The decimal afterwards is the line. So I just went through all the 5 lines. If you look at each one of the decimals, we all have all 6 lines usually. So what happens is that my sun is 48.2. So what that means is my 48 is all about inadequacy, wisdom, resilience. The line is 0.2. It is in through hermiting and reflecting, I learn about myself. So it's like you have the archetype of the gate plus the line that you experience. Then you go into the astrology aspect. So beside that, you'll notice the top 2 are the sun, the 2 down in the unconscious and the conscious, because usually there's a red side and a black side. The red is the unconscious, the left side is the unconscious, the right side is the conscious side. So you have 2 activations within each astrology sign. So you have the sun, the earth, the north node, the south node, trying to remember the moon, Mercury, like you have all going down the side, you have all of these activations. So to go deep in it, what you can do is then understand Mercury. Mercury is about communication, the way that you're here to talk. So then you look into the gate. For me, it's 28. So it's like, oh, I'm here to talk about my struggle. I'm here to talk my challenges. It's in line 5. So I'm going to do that through the visionary so I can help others. And it's in, oh, shoot, it's in Scorpio. So I'm here to talk about it in the taboo, in your face type of way. So if you go into those aspects, you kind of can refine like what you're here to talk about, how you're here to express it. And it kind of, you can go down a deep rabbit hole, but that's some of the way that you can use astrology. You get more nuanced.
Yeah, fascinating. I love that. Okay, and then Gene Keys. Um,
Mhm.
I have that book and I haven't explored it deeply, but I know that the numbers correspond in some way with that as well.
Yes. So Rauru received all the information during the supernova, made it his life's work to bring out into the world. A lot of people say the way that he expressed it, and some of the gate activations are a little bit, I guess, shocking in some of the words, but he was here to shock people into alignment. He was doing exactly what he was supposed to be doing, you know? So then Richard Rudd, who received all of the transmissions for the Gene Keys, worked with Ra-Uru for a very long time. They worked together. And then Richard started going more so into the subtle energies of the body and like the proteins within the cells of the body. So Richard kind of went his own way, and the gate activations do correlate with the gate activations of human design. They do. But Richard goes into the shadow frequency, the gift, and then the acidic level. So he's the one that kind of went into understanding that we do have this fluctuation between shadows and gifts and acidic levels. And the city level we only experience bits and pieces. It's not anything to like always try to be in, you know? So what we're trying to do is kind of like fluctuate between the gift and the shadow and understanding when you're in the shadow, when you're in the gift. So he went into those aspects, and then the more subtle energies of like the proteins that's connected with our physical body. He goes into depth, into connection to our physical self. So that's kind of why I love how I found human design first, because it was like the tangible in my face evidence that I needed to like shock myself into these, and then go into the Gene Keys where it's like the more subtle energies and the contemplation of the shadow, the contemplation of the gift. And there's there's 4 sequences now. There's a new sequence that just got out that is currently running. It's called the Pearl Star or Star Pearl. And other than that, there's the activation sequence, the Venus, and the Pearl. So the activation sequence, he takes 4 of the specific gates, and it's basically your life's work, what you're here to bring to the world, what challenge you have with it, what you radiate out into the world, and what your purpose is. And then he goes into the Venus, which I love. It's 6 activations that are our core wounds.
Mm.
Um, And these activations were actually activated in us within when we're in our mother. So these are the energies that were given to us to heal and to learn from. So,
Mm.
like all of these core wounds, the purpose in relationships, our attraction and what we attract when we're in the low frequency or high frequency, our intellectual wound, our spiritual wound, our emotional wound, and then our core wound. And this is so important in learning to be in relationship, which is something that honestly is one of my, I'm a Libra. I have all my stuff is all about relationships. I've had a lot of stuff with relationships. So going into these core wounds and acknowledging all of these things for me have been a life changer as far as friendships and relationships. And then the pearl sequence, I love us. I mean, I love all of them. The pearl sequence is like how we feel most prosperous because we actually feel most prosperous differently. Everyone has a unique way of feeling prosperous. So the pearl itself, for me, is 37.4. So the 37 is it's this mothering, compassionate, tough love type. It's here to basically stretch people into healing for their children.
Mm.
Um, and it's in line 4, which is all about love, charity for humanity. So that's how I feel most prosperous. So each one of us have our own way of that, and to understand that and to connect with that on a daily basis, even if you don't feel it right now, to like say to yourself, this is how I feel most prosperous and connect with it, it starts to shift things.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that almost brought me to tears because that is exactly, and that's so funny because for so long I didn't love myself, and that's all it's like all about love. It's so ridiculous.
It's that simple, huh?
Yeah, exactly. We make it so hard, but it's really not.
Right. But all of this information sounds super rich as well. So there's like a complexity within the simplicity, which I really love.
Yeah. It's like there's there's like a guidance that you can follow, but yet you don't have to be strict, which is what I like. Because then if you lose direction, you can just pick back up, you know? And that's actually why I created the cards, is because like even with my readings, like you go deep, but then it's like you have one reading and they come back in a month or whatever, and they haven't been doing the work. The cards that I added is like they can use the cards to learn about their chart. Like I have all the energies of what each gate, what each gene key, what circuitry it's in. Like they can use the cards to learn all about themselves.
Wow, that's very valuable.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah. So speaking of that, if people would like to know what it's like to work with you or to buy your cards, like where could we guide them and what does that look like?
You can go to my website, which is miranda-mitchell.com. You can get your free human design chart on there. You click on the button that says get it, you enter in your information, and you get your human design chart plus a ton load of information about your strategy, your authority, your like all of the things. So I would definitely start there. And then, of course, you can get the cards there. I'm also in the middle of creating an app with the cards which is almost done, so that you can always have it on your fingertips. And I'm so excited too. I've even created it in a way because I'm all about the shadow. I love the shadows, that you can even pull a card upside down on the app, meaning go into the shadow aspect. So yes, I'm so excited about that part.
All right.
Yeah. So you can go on my website and you can look for the oracle cards. It's called Dancing with Shadows and Stillness. That's what my card deck is.
Right, I'll have to check that out. So I'll add those links into the show notes so people can click on it really easily and access and find you.
Thank you. Oh, also, just so because the depth aspect, I know a lot of people have cards and they use it for a while and sit up on a desk or whatever. So what I've done with these cards as well is like when you purchase the cards, you also get access to a community for a year where I actually go into and give you card spreads and connect and teach and all this, and a mini course about the cards itself so that you all know what is entailed in each thing. You can go basic if you want to, or you can go deep.
Yeah. Seems like the whole essence of everything that you do.
Yes.
Fantastic. Is there anything on the top of your mind or your heart that you feel like we haven't covered yet that you would love to share?
The only thing that really comes to mind is like, having yourself find time, even if it's 3 or 5 minutes a day, to connect with yourself. I found that in the morning when I ground myself, I have a different presence or essence about myself throughout the day because of who I connect with. Remember, we have our own energies that we put out and we receive energies. So understanding that, so you know who you are on a daily basis, will help you move through life much more easily rather than just being caught up in the momentum. So if you're like looking to start, just start to ground within yourself 3 minutes every morning and give yourself that space, because um, once you start knowing who you are and listening to your inner guidance, you'll start making decisions that are most aligned with you. And also, I will say, it may cause chaos in the beginning. It did for me. Like, I lost a lot of things. I lost a job. I had lost a partner. But it was because I had created a life that was not authentic. I had created a life that I thought I wanted because that's what I thought I should have. So really tuning into yourself and making those hard decisions, trusting your strategy and authority in human design helps you so much. So do it even if it's scary, because it's worth it.
Great. So I have one last question that I asked to wrap up the conversation. And that is, if your inner voice had a billboard, what would it say to the world?
Swear. I have Scorpio Mercury.
Can you actually repeat that, because it cut out just a little, so I didn't hear.
I said, am I allowed to swear?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's your authenticity. Come on.
Yeah. So can you ask the question one more time so I get it?
If your inner voice had a billboard, what would it say to the world?
Fuck what others think.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the reason that is because, especially as women, we are conditioned to be those caretakers, to always give to others first. Oh, share your toys. Yeah, it's always others first. And it's not that you don't care about others if you care about yourself first. You have to prioritize yourself first to be able to then give love to others. So if people are grabbing at you, fuck what they think, do your own work.
Yeah, I love that, and I agree.
Mm,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Thank you so much for sharing your time and your wisdom. I've really enjoyed our conversation.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me this week. If you're listening and you like what you hear, please consider subscribing and rating this podcast, as it really helps get this podcast out to other people who might be interested in hearing it but don't know about it yet. And also, if you'd like to contact me or reach me, you can reach me at unconditioningpodcast@gmail.com or unconditioningpodcast on Instagram. Thank you so much, and until next time, stay tuned in to you.